So we're going to do notes on vocabulary for geometry. So this is page 1, and this is going to be some important things you're going to need to know about geometry. A segment, okay, so here's my first word is a segment, is a line with 2 endpoints. So if you look, I have an endpoint here and an endpoint here. So they call this X, Y, and they write a line like that, just that doesn't have any arrows on it. That's important. So that's meaning that it stops. You could also write it Y, X. The order doesn't matter. It's just saying it's stopping and stopping. Okay. So on the next one, an angle, so that's my next vocab word. An angle is formed by 2 rays that meet at a common endpoint called the vertex. Okay, so if I look at this here, I have this ray. Do you see how it has an arrow? And I have this ray. You see how it has an arrow? But they both hit at this point right here that's called A. So it's 2 different rays that meet at the same point, and that point is called the vertex. So to name it, you put a little angle sign and then you put A. It's angle A. Okay, and those little things are going to be important as you move on. So I am going to make sure that you're labeling things right. A polygon, that's our next vocab word. A polygon is a closed figure. And I'm going to show you that really quick. A closed figure, because it starts like if I start at this P, I go here, I go down, I'm not picking up my pen at all, and I go back up here and it ends. And so if you look, there's no openings there. Okay. It's formed with at least 3 line segments called sides. So the one that we're looking at here, oh gosh, sorry. This one has 4 sides. Okay. So examples of polygons are triangles, rectangles, parallelograms, trapezoids, pentagons, hexagons, octagons. We could go on forever. Okay. Congruent means, so my next vocab word, congruent. Congruent means to have the same measure. Now, I wasn't there the day, like at the math meeting, that when they decided some of these symbols. But when you're talking about a measurement, like the side length, then you use this equal sign with a little squiggly on top. And what that means is that this indicates that you're talking about measurements. Okay? If you forget that in 6th grade, it's not going to be a big deal. If you forget that in like geometry, they will take off for it. So it's something I'm going to tell you, but I'm not going to be that crazy about it. Okay, so congruent line segments, if you look here, both line segments are 4 inches. So you could say AB, and remember you put the line at the top, is congruent to CD. And you're going to put the line up at the top saying that those are segments. If you look at the next one, angle J and angle K are the same measurements. So you're going to say angle J is congruent to angle K. And again, if you accidentally put equals sometimes and forget the congruent sign, I am not going to freak out on you, but I just want you to know that it is going to be expected as you get older. All right, congruent polygons. Congruent polygons have the same angles and sides. Okay, I want to really kind of talk about this so that you can see it. I'm going to use some colors here. Okay, it says down here that AB is equal to DE. So if I follow and go AB and I look and it's equal to DE, if you notice the angles, they both have 1 line here, and A and D match up because those angles are equal. And then I have 2 little things and 2 little things here. Those match up, so those are equal. Okay. Then the next one says BC is congruent to EF. So if I start at B, BC is congruent to EF. And if I look, that's what these 2 little lines are saying they're congruent. And I also can see that it starts with B, that is equal congruent to that. They're the same number of lines. And then there's 3 lines here at C and 3 lines here at F. Okay, and then the last one is saying AC is congruent to DF. So AC is congruent to DF. And I have to put it in that order. I need the A and the D to be first or second, really, and the C and the F have to be in the same. So I could also say CA is congruent to FD, but I could not say CA is congruent to DF because C and D are not the same angle. Okay, so you can't do that. So you have to make sure they're in the right order. All right, so if we look at this using these congruent statements, okay, list the congruent sides. I wish they would have given you more, like if we measured it, but I can really tell, like, this is the shorter side, so they're saying they're congruent. So I'm going to put 1 line there. So if I look, and then this angle definitely looks like it's congruent to this angle because they're both right? And that would mean that this angle is equal to this angle because it has to be red, blue, orange, right? Which means this line has to be equal, because it's on the side of the blue, right, to that line. Some of these guys, I'm going to have to change it then. So that means this angle has to be equal to this angle. And then I have my last side, and this side has to be equal to this side. Okay, so now I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to list these. I'm going to go back to the orange. So the orange is angle P is congruent to angle W. Oh, what other color did I use? Blue. And looking at the blue, angle R is congruent to angle Y. And then I know angle Q is congruent to angle V. It really helps if you label things. If you want to get out colored pencils and make a bunch of colors, I really do think it helps kids. Angle V. Okay, now I'm going to do my side lengths, and I've got to put it in the same order. So if I go PR, okay, that's that red side. I went orange, blue, so I've got to say that's congruent to orange, blue, okay? And so that really helps, okay? Then if I do the purple and I do RQ, and I did blue-green, so blue-green would be YV. Now, if you don't have colored pencils, you could do the number of ticks on there. So if I do my last side, it's that light purple. Okay, the light purple is, so if I did QP, okay, Q has 3 and V has 3. P has 1 and W has 1. So it has to be VW. Okay, so, and you could write them the other way. So you have to write them that same kind of way. Okay, so I'm not the biggest fan of how these are trying to trick you. But this is definitely the slanted side, and this is the short side, right? And then this is next to that short side, so I'm going to put 3 there, and then this is my long side. So they have to go together. So between 1 and 2, my 1 tick and 2 tick, I'm going to put 1 and 2. Between 2 and 3, I'm going to put 2, so that's between 2 and 3. Between, oh, that's kind of hard to see, isn't it? Okay, between 3 and 4, I'm going to put 3. And between 4, 2, 3, 4, and 1, I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. I would like you to pause the video and write congruent statements, please. Pause and write congruent statements. Pause the video, write congruent statements. Okay, so the first one, they don't have to be in the same order as mine as long as they're both flipped. So you should have DG is congruent to KH. Okay, you should have GF, and it's okay if you have FG, that's fine, is congruent to HI, and it's okay if they're both flipped. FE is congruent to IJ, and ED is congruent to JK. And then on my angles, angle D is congruent to angle K. Angle G is congruent to angle H. Angle F is congruent to angle I. And angle E is congruent to angle J. So that's what your answers should have looked like. Okay, so on the next question, it says, are we congruent? Hint, if one figure can be laid over the other so they match perfectly, they're congruent. So if I look at number 3, my angles are congruent. I have 70, 70, 40, 70, 70, 40, right? But if I look at the sides, between the 70 and 70, this is 4, but this is 6, so that's a no. So all the angles and the sides have to be congruent. So if I look at my angles, though, that stands for 90 degrees. So that's saying all of them are congruent, which means it is a rectangle. So if this is 9, this is 9, and this is 15, if they're all right, it is a rectangle. That's what the definition of a rectangle is, 4 right angles. So this is yes. Okay. On the next one, my angles are definitely equal because I have these are equal, and then the 90 is equal. And if I look at the sides, between the right and the 1 is 5, right and 1 is 5, the right and 2 is 12, the right and 2 is 12, and then the long side is 13, so this is definitely a yes. Okay, and the next one is a no because those angles are not equal. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about is what a regular polygon is. This wording is really quite important because a regular polygon is a special polygon that we're going to use a lot of. And it is a polygon in which all the sides are congruent and all the interior angles are congruent. Okay, so if you look, all 5 of these sides are equal to each other and all of the angles are equal to each other. So it's like the perfect one to think about isn't a square. They're all right angles and all the sides. And so a square is a regular polygon. It's a special one. Okay, like a stop sign is a regular polygon. The line of symmetry divides a polygon into 2 congruent parts. So if I put a symmetry line down the middle and I flipped it on top of that yellow line, they would be equal. Okay. The number of lines of symmetry in a regular polygon is equal to the number of sides. So if there's 5 sides, just use a bunch of different colors here, then I can draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can draw 5 of those that cut it. Okay, so determine if the figure is regular. If it is, show the lines of symmetry. 60, 60, 60, those are all equal, and all the lines are equal, so this is yes. So my lines of symmetry, I'm going to use a dotted line. Here is 1 right down the middle there. Here is 1 right down the middle there. Right? And here is 1 right down the middle here. Okay. On the next one, if you look, these are both 90, but these are definitely not 90. So this is no, it is not a regular polygon. But the next one, that is a regular polygon because all the sides and all the angles are equal. Oh gosh, these are going to be a lot. So if I draw my lines of symmetry, it's actually there's going to be 8 lines of symmetry. So I can go through the angles as well. Jeez Louise. Okay, so I have all those lines of symmetry. I don't think I need to go through the angles. Why did I do that? That's not symmetrical. There's 6 lines of symmetry. Why am I trying to make 8? That's a hexagon, 6 sides. I'm not good at drawing lines of symmetry without a ruler. Sorry. Okay, so then you have homework that goes with this.